Hey everyone. So there's a bit of a goaltender debate going on in Washington right now because Washington has decided to start Philipp Grubauer over Braden Holtby in the playoffs, and they lost game one in overtime. So now the question becomes, do you stick with Grubauer, who was the hot hand coming into the playoffs, or do you go back to your franchise goalie in Braden Holtby? This is a very difficult and very complicated question to answer. So let's just talk about why Grubauer is starting in the first place. Braden Holtby had a very, very poor season this year, especially towards the end, and Grubauer basically took his spot. Holtby was giving up almost 3 goals a game. His goals against average was not good. His save percentage wasn't great. And Grubauer's save percentage was very good, and his goals against was down, I think it was like 2.35 or something like that. So Grubauer was the much better player at the end of the season. So you have a choice to make starting the playoff. Do you go with the goaltender who's playing very, very well? And Grubauer's a good goalie. So do you go with him in the hot hand, or do you go with your franchise goalie who's been your backstop for years now, but happens to be playing really badly, in Braden Holtby? Well, Barry Trotz went with the hot hand Philipp Grubauer, and not that many people seem to have a problem with that decision. I certainly didn't, because Grubauer was playing much better at the time, and goaltending is so important in the playoffs. You've got to have someone who can stop the puck. Holtby couldn't stop the puck at the end of the year, or really much of this season at all. So I don't blame him for going with Grubauer, but now he has a decision to make because they lost game one. Now, none of the goals that Columbus scored were really Grubauer's fault, and certainly not the overtime winner. Panarin's overtime winner was one of the filthiest shots I've seen in quite a while. The way he just all in one motion went backhand, forehand, and flipped it up top corner was ridiculous. How quickly he got that shot off, and with how little motion he did everything. It was absolutely a filthy shot. So you can't really blame Grubauer for the loss. Yes, he gave up 4 goals, but it really wasn't his fault. And it was a close game, so do you stick with the kid Grubauer's not that much of a kid anymore. He's been around as Holtby's backup for quite a few years now. But do you stick with the younger, less experienced goaltender in Grubauer for game 2, or do you go back to Holtby, who has been your franchise for the last, he's been around for like 7-8 years now. He's been the backstop for Washington, and he's been an extremely good backstop for Washington, especially in the playoffs. He has very good numbers in the playoffs, except against Pittsburgh. But even against Pittsburgh, his numbers aren't terrible. It's more the team just always loses. But he doesn't play that poorly even against the Penguins. But against other teams, not Pittsburgh, he is lights out in the playoffs. But this season, he's never had a season this bad before. So who knows if that would carry over into the playoffs or not. But they really have an interesting decision to make, and I'm really glad I'm not the one making it. My inclination, like if I had to make this decision, I would probably stick with Grubauer for game 2, just because game 1's loss wasn't on him at all, and he was the much better goalie coming into the playoffs. So I think I give him a shot in game 2, but that's a risky decision, because if Washington loses game 2, that's pretty much it. If they drop both games on home ice, even if they split in Columbus, it's 3-1, and Columbus just has to win one more game. So game 2 is massive for the Washington Capitals. If they even the series up, then they're, I think, in decent shape. They can still definitely win the series. If they go down 2-0, I think that's pretty much it. They're in massive, massive trouble. So very tough decision. Do you go with the hot hand or your franchise goaltender? I'm sticking with the hot hand in Grubauer, but that's not an easy decision for Barry Trotz to make, and we'll have to see what he does on game two. Um, Game two, I believe, is Sunday. So that's what I think about that. Tough decision. We'll see what they do. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow on social media and check out the website. Links are in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and talk to you soon.